What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this evening. So what we're going to be covering in this update is what we saw today was one of the wildest days of misinformation and confusion in the AMC community that I have seen in a very, very long time. We're going to be going over a little bit of the Ortex updates and then some stuff that we were seeing on Stonko Tracker, and we also have to talk about this very, very good news, in my opinion, that we got from AMC today about this new bond offering. Then we saw a lot of people come out and basically start screaming, oh no, is this a convertible note, which can then be converted into shares sold on the open market and then dilute the stock. But all it took was a simple read-through of the actual filing to really confirm whether or not this was true or not. So we're going to be going over that as well. And we have to go over some of this FINRA data. So a lot of people are bringing up this FINRA data again, and we were going over this, I believe, in the beginning of the summer as to what this data exactly is. So I'm going to show you guys kind of the facts about this data, and if you were confused about anything that was kind of circling around today, this is going to be a video that you definitely want to stick until the end to, because we're going to go over everything in detail and get through all of the facts. So before we get into all of that information, if you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And again, guys, if you do want that free access to the free part of the 1348 Discord, again, I have not seen anybody else in a Discord community really generating the results that the people in 1348 have. So if you do want to check out the strategy for completely free, make sure you check out the link down below in the description. So today, AMC did witness a little bit of an attack. We were down about $1.44. I know that's not really what we want to be seeing right now, but we need to think about this from a broader perspective. Well, yesterday we got really awesome fundamental news for the stock. Today, we kind of figured out that AMC is going to have even more cash. They're going to be able to refinance their debt and essentially lower the payments that they're going to be making on their existing debt going all the way out into 2029 and on the debt that is coming due in 2026. Again, pretty bullish news right there. It's not overly bullish, but it is a nice step in the right direction. And again, with the shorting that we've seen in AMC over the last couple of months, it's really been a lot of these shorts piling in my opinion, based on technicals, because the fundamental short thesis against this company, in my opinion, and again, value in any of these value models that these institutions are using are subjective, and it is an opinion. So in my opinion, I still think that AMC is wildly fundamentally undervalued right now. Now, coming over to the Ortex update, just specifically on AMC, we have utilization coming up, 81.82%, another good thing to see. We see cost to borrow slowly starting to rise. The average cost to borrow today was 1.3%, and we're sitting at an estimated short interest of 20.64%. And then coming over to GameStop's over here, remember, these stocks are going to move in tandem when big moves start to happen. 86% utilization, higher cost to borrow here. We have a max of 8.27%, and again, 18.71% short interest. So on the two big top dogs in this short squeeze kind of realm that we are all in, the shorts really have not covered the bulk of their positions over the last 6 months in any significant way. Now, let's get into this first thing that we need to talk about here. And the first thing that I want to kind of talk about before we get into this is you have to know where the data is getting basically sourced from and what data you're actually looking at. So Ortex gets their data from 85% of the total market, and Stonko Tracker is really getting their data from one source, similar to iBorrowDesk. Now, a lot of people this morning were kind of freaking out about this number right here. The shares available to borrow, symbol removed from data file, expectation is no shares left. Now, this is a new thing that we have seen, so it's possible that there is something going on at this one specific broker, most likely Interactive Brokers, that Stonko Tracker is getting their data from. But when you take a look at utilization, again, utilization is the shares that are out on loan right now versus the amount of shares that institutions are willing to lend. There are still more shares left to borrow in the overall market. And the difference between the shares on loan right here, 115 million, and the current estimated short interest, there's about 10 million more shares that can eventually get used against us. So I don't want anybody freaking out about that. Now let's get into this second thing with AMC and this new bond offering. So AMC Entertainment Holdings announces senior secured, which is going to be the highest level in the essentially debt structure. It'll go senior secured, senior unsecured, and it'll move its way down in terms of who gets paid first. They announced today that it has commenced an offering of 500 million aggregate principal amount of first lien senior secured notes due 2029. And we can see down here that the amount, the interest payment on this is 10.5%. Now, a lot of people were kind of freaking out as to whether or not that this offering was going to be a convertible note offering. It is not. You could come over here, do a quick search. All you had to do is look at this filing and hit Command F. There was no need to really send everybody on a wild goose chase thinking that we were going to have a lot of dilution coming in the near future. These are not convertible notes. This is not going to lead to any dilution, and it's actually helping AMC, the company, and the shareholders because they are able to raise some of this money and not hurt the equity holders one bit. Now, I also want to get into this FINRA data. We used to talk about this data all the time, and we kind of stopped talking about it because it really wasn't that big of a deal, and it really didn't benefit us at all to be really looking at this data because it was just the volume on those over-the-counter markets. Basically, those off-exchange venues is what they're called. And that's what FINRA was reporting to us. So we can see the most recent numbers on these OTC non-ATS, meaning not dark pools, because dark pools are alternative trading systems. So these would be things like Citadel Connect and any other kind of more private or even darker dark pools, if that makes sense, that these shares are getting traded in. So for the month of November, we had a total volume. This is the key thing here. This is the amount of volume that has been traded at these venues. 379 million. Okay, cool. Then when we come over to back to June, I know the tweet was really talking about May. The May data isn't available here on anymore, but the numbers are pretty similar. We see the total shares traded on these off-exchange venues of 2.6 billion. That's a pretty significant increase, right? There's a very logical explanation for this. Remember, we see the off-exchange volume every single day being above 50%, so it would make sense that if you looked at the volume that has actually been traded on AMC, we would see these numbers kind of match up. And you could also expect that since in November this number dropped a lot, you would see an overall volume drop as well. Now, when we come over to the chart right here and come up to the monthly chart, just to make this look a little bit easier, in June, we had a volume, you can see it on the top right here. In June, we had a volume of about 5.4 billion. So that number really starts to check out. But then when we come to November down here, we saw the volume drop significantly to 731 million. So there's not really anything, in my opinion, crazy going on here. Again, the reason why people like to bring up the dark pool manipulation, I think is slightly misguided sometimes. The way that the dark pools or these off-exchange venues are really limiting price discovery is when these market makers are getting these orders and they're able to essentially front run them, and use these high-frequency trading machines to really kind of scrape off the top of a lot of these orders, traverse the bid-ask spread, latency arbitrage, all of those things. That is going to take place most of the time in these off-exchange venues. It's not necessarily the dark pool itself, it's what is being done in these off-exchange venues. The dark pools are essentially just getting used to make sure that there's nothing crazy going on in the order book to spook algorithms and basically shoot up volatility in a given stock. So it is interesting to see that the volume on these off-exchange venues is pretty high for AMC. But again, there's a very, very simple solution to this. If you want to not have the dark pool volume or the off-exchange volume be so high every single day, well, then you would personally have to decide, well, I'm going to direct my orders right to a lit exchange. So they're not going to be going into those dark venues. They're going to go right on to IEX, the New York Stock Exchange, places like that. Now, the last thing that I kind of want to touch on, we saw this come out today that a lot of these different news sources were reporting that AMC almost doubled that bond offering to 950 million. And when we take a look right here, this is one of the sources. AMC nearly doubles junk bond offering to 950 million. But there's no source here. We've seen Benzinga do this in the past. Reuters is reporting this now, but there's no source to any of this. I believe some people were citing a source familiar with the matter. It's entirely possible that they have done done this. There's no SEC filing on this right now, which there would have to be if they increased the offering up to $950 million. If there's a source that comes out, awesome, we're going to see it. And that actually, in my opinion, would give AMC even more cash. And it might enable them to lower their debt payments even further, which would be a good thing. But again, right now, we're just kind of waiting to see if that filing is going to surface and if they actually did up their offering to $950 million versus the initial number that was stated in the filing of $500 million. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. So I hope you guys are having a great evening, and I'll see you guys in the next video.